Boom. Okay. So today I'm joined by Justin. Justin did my IEMT certification course 2 or 3 weeks ago now it was. But Justin also did it last year, about 18 months ago. And he came back to do a refresher course this time. So hi, Justin. How you doing?
Hi, Matt. Are you okay?
I was going to say, we have a satellite link up. We have a delay. He's in Australia. No, he's in London. So, yeah, so today, what today's about is basically what you think about the course, what you think about IEMT, any changes you experienced on, the course, and basically what you're now going to go do. So, basically, before we get into all of that, just tell us a little bit about yourself, your kind of line of work and stuff, and what attracted you to doing the IEMT weekend.
Sure. Well, it's actually the second time that I've done the course, but I did it, I think, initially 2-3 years ago. So I have a general interest anyway in psychology and sort of change work. So that's where my initial interest with IEMT came from. And cut a long story short, I want to go in more to coaching. So I want to go into the coaching world, therapy. And I've done a couple of short courses, so that's where my interest started. And I thought, your course was a kind of a perfect stepping stool, really, because it's quite short, it's nothing too intense, and it's a weekend. So it's and the thing that was appealing about it was the fact that it's you don't have to be a trained therapist. So, and it's I think 2-4 sessions max. So the idea is you get. You don't need to go into the story of what the client's going through. It's just meant to be very kind of quick and effective.
Yeah.
So that's the thing that was appealing about it. And I'll be honest, I was quite, what's the word? A little bit skeptical.
Yeah.
So, but I've seen,
Yeah, because on the first time you did it, we talked quite a lot beforehand, and because you'd spoken to me and I said, I think this would be good for you to do. And you weren't sure, you were on the fence. And then, well, obviously, you've done it twice now. So,
yeah, I mean, I've been very impressed with it, to be honest with you. And I want to obviously test it for myself. So a little bit about me. I mean, I run a support group for people that suffer with social anxiety, depression, and low self-esteem. I've been doing that for 3 years. And even though I love that, the reason why I want to go into the coaching is so I can, basically help people and to do this change work. So this IEMT course is, seems fantastic. It's short, it's cost effective, 2-4 sessions max. You don't have to do anything too long term. It's not psychotherapy, which can go on for 2 years, or even CBT, which is, I think, usually about 20 sessions, which is what the NHS recommends. So this seems very appealing, and it almost seems a bit like I was saying earlier, you go into it a little bit skeptical, but having done the course myself, I've seen how powerful it is. So you almost don't know what's going on when you're doing the course, but you can see it's having some effect on you, it's kind of on the brain, on the mind.
Well, let's talk about that. So what's, you don't go into too much detail, but did you experience any personal change? Now, the reason why I ask is because when we do the course, the way I structure it is 2 days. I teach something, you do something. I teach something, you do something, and that's how I do it. And so, obviously, because you're working with people, probably about 10 or 12 exercises over the weekend, you're going to experience a lot of change work. And I get 2 types of people on this course. I get people like yourself who want to use it in practice, and people who just want to work on themselves. And they just want to know more about themselves and have lots of change work done. So that's fine. Both is fine. So what sort of changes did you sort of experience yourself on both of the courses, both times?
Well, that's an interesting question. Yeah. I did notice, for example, when you're focusing on one of the issues with the simple pattern, or even with the lazy 8 pattern that you do, basically you focus on an issue, whatever it is, and you can feel the attachment or the intensity of the emotion. It might start at an 8 and it drops to for example, a 4 or a 2. So I noticed that as well. And it becomes hazy. So the the memory becomes hazy and the emotion drops. And it's not something that you think you could possibly be making it up, but you're not, because you do it several times. When you're doing these exercises, you do it several times. So you almost can't explain what's going on. So that's what I like about it.
Then do you know what I have? This is this is the hardest part of my job, to try and explain what it's like, because it's impossible to explain it, because it's sound. And the thing is, IEMT, and we're very careful with the IEMT and the association. We're not allowed to make big claims. So you can't say this will do this. We know there will be predictable outcomes for doing the work, but there's no guarantee to what's going to happen. Sure. But until you're sat there having your eyes moved by somebody, it's really hard to actually explain what it's like. And I don't know, like chew my words. Like I said, the first time before you were going to come, for like a couple of years ago, I knew as soon as you had experienced one exercise, you'd be sold on it. You know what I mean? You'd fully invest in it. And that's why, like last night I did a talk in Brighton to 90 people about this. And people were just amazed by it. It's a very, very simple technique, but a lot happens. And so you say that you sort of run like a support group and stuff. Can you now see, because what happens when you do the course, if you want to be a certified practitioner, you go and do some case studies, and then I go through the case studies with you before we certify you. Do you see where you're now going to be able to use this with the people that you want to work with in your support group?
Yeah, 100%. So I mean, I have my own kind of like tools that I already use in my support group, because it's not a traditional support group. I like to give elements of coaching as well. So yeah, I want to obviously go into more of the one-to-one work, working with people, say for longer term, say 3 months, 6 months, take them on a journey kind of thing. So I see the IEMT as almost, if you have a toolbox, it's like a toolbox. So it's a tool that I can pull out and be like, right, this person's got a lot of trauma or a lot of attachment to, for example, resentment towards their dad or whatever, or their mum. Great, well, let's pull the IEMT out and we'll do that. So I can see it being very effective, and it's almost like another tool, you know. It's like not everything's going to work for everyone. So, you know, I do a lot of, for example, acceptance work with my people that I work with. Can you hear me? Is that right? Yeah. No, the connection was dropping. Anyway, I do a lot of acceptance work, Matt. So that's not going to work for everyone. Whereas this IEMT, I think, can work in anyone. You know, you might be skeptical, but you're right. You know, don't need to go into the story. Let's just see what happens. So it has that kind of power. And
I think that what's interesting with IEMT, I think, like as you said, it's a tool, but it's a set of tools, a suite of tools. I think it works brilliantly with coaching, because coaching is getting you from point A to point B, right? Now, that can be a struggle. With IEMT, it works on anticipatory events. So what's the blockage? Work on the blockage. Then you can move somebody, work on the blockage. So that's why I want to get more coaches involved, because using IEMT will make your clients much more coachable, because you've now got a really powerful tool. So instead of forcing them to go and do something, IEMT is there to remove the resistance. And I always say it's like, if you have like a normal train, it takes a lot of effort to get that moving. With IEMT, it's like having, you know, the bullet train in Japan. It's levitated off magnets. So with just a bit of effort, because there's no friction, it moves much, much further with much, much less effort. So that's how I find IEMT. A little analogy there. It's almost like removing the friction from moving forward, because a lot of coaching is to do with pumping up emotions, pumping up, you know,
Tony Robbins.
Well, it's to do with pumping stuff up, right? IEMT is not. IEMT is about working on the negative. And so working on the negative, there is no problem basically, rather than doing that. So yeah, so let's talk about the weekend a little bit. So what was your experience? Because you've done it twice now. Now the thing is, the way I try to make any training or any talk, which I do, I try to make it fun, because I understand that people have dedicated a weekend to being somewhere. I understand that when people have fun, they learn more, they remember things more, and they have a better time. So what was your experience of actually doing the weekend with me and also with the other people?
Yeah, I think the alcohol that you supplied was very... I'm only joking now.
This is why I make the jokes.
I just no, there was no alcohol. There was no alcohol.
Until the end, we did go out for drinks after the Sunday. So
yeah, we did go out for drinks.
Yeah. So how did you enjoy?
No, I think obviously.
Yeah. What did you enjoy about it? The actual weekend.
I mean, yeah, obviously your humour. So you bring your humour to the table, and it helps everyone to relax. I just like the fact that it's not too theory based, so it's very practical. So it'd be a little bit of theory, and then it'd just be like, right, let's just get stuck in. So it's like very practical, and you got to go around the whole room and be with different people, and I think with me, because I'm used to going into the story with when I work with people, not too much, but I think you have to go back to go forwards. That's always been my philosophy. But we put that to one side. This is why this is so refreshing. It's like you don't have to go into the story, and it's just like, because it can be quite draining for the therapist, the coach, when you do that sometimes. So I think that's what's quite refreshing, and that's what I liked about it. And so it was just very practical, Matt, and it was fun. You got to meet different people. Obviously, most people there were in the coaching or therapy world. Which is what I liked about it, because you could share, your different experiences. Some people came from a CBT background, others counselling, or whatever, energy work. So it was quite interesting.
Yeah, no, that's what I definitely found, and it was amazing the results that people were getting as well. Because we had a wide range from people. There was 2 students there, 2 girls who I think were probably about mid-20s, up to Michael, who was, I don't know, he was a mature fella. Then we had some women there who were also quite mature. So there was a big age range. And what I like about IEMT, anyone can use it, regardless of your background. And there's no prerequisites to the course. You don't need to be a therapist. I like teaching therapists, because I know they're going to then go and do the certification and use it with people. But there's no prerequisites so if you just want to do a weekend of working on yourself, then that's fine. If you want if you want to get into coaching, or if you want to get into therapy, or if you want to extend your therapeutic range, then obviously it's a weekend. It's just, and for the price of it, you literally need to get 1 paying client afterwards to cover the cost of the course.
It's very true.
Some courses are, I've paid more than what I pay. I don't want to say how much. Basically, for IEMT, you're going to be paying between $300 and $450, depending on the time, the trainer, the venue. But about $450 is probably like the top you'll pay for the weekend, and that's a certification as well, which I think is really good value.
I think so too. A lot of NLP courses are way more expensive.
Yeah, they are. They really are. So okay. So going forward with this, then you're going to do your case studies now. We did the thing a couple of weeks ago now. How do you sort of now plan to use IEMT? Where do you see? Basically, how are you going to fit IEMT now working? What's your sort of career strategy? Have you thought about that, or?
I won't lie. I mean, I need to get a bit more clarity on it. I think we had that conversation at the weekend. So I might touch base with you afterwards about that.
Yeah.
But I see basically, I see it as, I'll have 3 or 6 months packages, and I see that IEMT being a part of that. So probably something that I'd introduce towards the beginning.
Yeah.
And then later on, if it's quite a persistent, memory or trauma or something, whatever emotion it is, then I'll do my other stuff, you know, my acceptance work and stuff like that. So I see it being a package, and the IEMT would just be a useful tool that I could dip into.
Cool.
And it may not always be in that order. Maybe something that I leave towards, you know, the end or the middle of the coaching.
Yeah.
Do you see what I mean? So it's quite adaptable. That's what I think is good about it.
No, I absolutely love it, because when I see clients, I use IEMT predominantly. I do some hypnosis and some metaphor work. I predominantly do IEMT. So for me, I'm not looking for 6-month clients. I see people twice, 3 times max. But because I only do IEMT. And this is why I want coaches to really get involved with this, to incorporate this into their 3, 6, 12-month sessions. I don't really know how long they do it for. Yeah, because I just find it such an incredible tool. Okay, we're going to start wrapping this up. I just want you to I just want you to speak to those people who are listening. There'll be millions of people. It's like life. Basically, people who were in your position. So people who have heard about this, maybe, of IEMT, they don't really know what it's about. They're a bit skeptical. They're not quite sure what to expect. So you've been through it twice. Obviously, you were skeptical beforehand, which is I was. Trust me, I was. You know, before I did anything, I was like, "What is this?" And then I fell in love with it in a way, and I think it's great. It's not the be all and end all, but I think it's great. So for those people who are watching this, considering either training with me or training with one of the other great trainers around the country, or in fact around Europe, I think we now have. What do you have to say to those coaches that want to do, or people who just want to work on themselves, who are sort of on the fence? What would you say to them?
I mean, I would just say give it a go. Just try it. You've got nothing to lose. Like you said, it's not going to break the bank. It's only 300-400 quid max. It's what I did initially, and I actually did the course twice. The reason was, the first time I did it 3 years ago, I wasn't ready to I wasn't in the right place to go do the qualification, whereas this time I'm like, gonna do the qualification. So it's not expensive. It only take up your weekend, you know, so it doesn't have to be anything too time consuming. It's fun as well. Matt teaches it in a very fun way. You'll meet some really interesting people, and if you're like me, you want to go into the coaching world, I think it's a great tool. I mean, just try it. I mean, you've got nothing to lose. We had like counselors on the course who were skeptical about it, and they're like, you know, but they found it very powerful. And like me, it's very early days, but I'm going to see where I go with it. I've seen it for myself that it works. So I want to test it out on my clients and people that I work with. And then I'm sure I'll have some great case studies myself. So I think if you're skeptical, if you're interested, if you have an interest in coaching psychology, just give it a go. You've got nothing to lose, really. And if anything, you'll get a free comedy show with Matt. And maybe some alcohol.
Stop saying alcohol. No, it is a very social course in that way. It is a very social course, because I don't allow any sort of, I don't care about your background. I've had doctors, psychiatrists, GPs actually. And it doesn't matter. In this, you're all equal. Yeah. You know what I mean? So there's no one-upmanship. I don't allow like a status battle. And sometimes I've been to somewhere before, and it's very much like, well, I've trained with Bandler. I don't care. You know, it's a very social course. In fact, you're meeting up with that you already have, and you're meeting up with some of the people to do practice sessions, aren't you?
I'm meeting with 3 people this Friday actually, and that's something I didn't do the first time around because I wasn't, you know, motivated. Whereas this time I'm like, you know, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna smash it. So cool. Yeah, looking forward to it.
It's just worth saying as well, because Justin repeated the course, and if you want to repeat the course as a refresher, you can do it at a massively discounted rate as well. It is a lot because I make sure there's a lot of content in the weekend, and it is one of those things that did I do it twice? Maybe I can't remember. But it is worth, you know, doing it twice is actually beneficial. It's the same content, but you get some more practice and supervision, because the group size is limited. You know, I only had it was 14 people, so I can work with everyone individually. And because I've been to a lot of places where they set an exercise, then they're on the phone or out the room. When I set an exercise, I'm then going round each person to make sure they're understanding it, that we're not leaving anyone behind, that they're doing the actual movements correctly with your arm and the distance. And so you do get a lot of one-to-one or, personal attention within the group. So cool. Justin, I just want to say a massive thank you for your time. As you can tell, Justin's done this interview and he's got a cold. He's he's an absolute warrior. So soldiering on. So a massive thank you for taking this time.
Yeah, no problem.
So plug your websites and meetup groups and stuff. Where can people contact you?
Well, I haven't actually got a website. I'm working on that. So, but basically, if you go on Meetup, it's the London Shyness social group, and I run a regular Monday support group at the Jesus Centre. It's nothing to do with religion. It's just everyone keeps asking me, is it to do with Christianity? No, it's not. It's just the Jesus Centre.
To be fair, I understand why they would think that.
Yeah, I don't know. But anyway, it's nothing to do with religion. It's a regular Monday support group. It's been running for 3-4 years. I'm passionate about it. And so, yeah, check it out on Google. You can Google it. So, but I haven't got a website at the moment. I'm working on it.
Cool. All right. Thank you very much. Speak to you soon. All right.
Thanks, Matt. Bye.